What's good? My name is VANIMUS, and today we're going to be making a hard, dark trap type of beats using Output Arcade. It's one of my favorite plugins for high quality samples and loops, and a lot of the new lines that have come out recently are really conducive towards cultivating that type of cinematic and dark sound within your beats. So yeah, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Alright, so once you head over to Output Arcade's homepage, the first thing that you're probably going to want to do is head over to this line section where you'll see a bunch of different categories of different lines or styles and aesthetics for these sounds and these samples that Output Arcade has to offer. Some of my favorites include Drip and Nightmare, which is really solid for very unique and high quality sounds and samples and sound effects that have to do with horror and creepy types of vibes. Obsidian is probably the one I use the most personally, and In the World is so solid for creating and cultivating a type of cinematic vibe within your songs. But the one that I want to focus on today is Hard Mode, which is one of the first lines that has been really dedicated and directed towards artists and producers who want to work with drill and trap and hip hop types of songs. Alright, so within the hard mode line today, I'm going to work on the Persistent Visions instruments. So the first thing that you guys will notice once you open up this user interface is, first of all, that there's 2 octaves of piano keys at the bottom here, right? And so each of these white keys, not the black keys, but each of the white keys are associated with a certain sample. And then this line in particular, the lower octave of these 2 octaves is going to be responsible for a lot of the drum samples, and the higher octave is where we're going to find a lot of the melodic and harmonic content. And so the loop in particular that I really mess with, that I chose this instrument within the hard mode line for, is this one. But let's say I didn't like how it sounds within this key. I can just go here and change the key. I'm going to choose A minus, one of my favorite keys, and it's automatically going to transpose this loop for me. And then the last thing I'll point out here is that there are 4 parameters here, and these parameters are unique compared to the parameters that you might find for a different instrument under a different line. So these parameters are responsible for very specific and creative audio effects that are specifically curated for this line in particular. So, for example, it's kind of sick. So yeah, I might end up messing with that one and trying to play around with some of these parameters here. But yeah, that's the very basic starting place for this user interface and how to use an instrument within Output Arcade's lines. So yeah, I'm going to resample that melody that I was messing with, and yeah, let's just get started from there. Alright, so I got this sample here in its audio wave format. Alright, so I got this first melodic sample here in its audio file format, and I'm just going to use Ableton's conversion tool to take the melody out of it into a new MIDI track and see if I can do any layering with this, with the MIDI version of this melody. Alright, so after using Ableton's audio file to melody tool, I have a MIDI file of the melody here that I've just placed on one of my favorite vibey pianos, and now I have this loop as well as this MIDI file of the same melody. And even if I do end up intending to use just this loop, it's always nice to have this MIDI version of this melody available on the side here. So yeah, next let's try and get back into Arcade and see if there's any other tools, especially from this line, that I can use. And if not, I can try and branch out into some other lines and see if I can kind of bring different elements together in a way that benefits and moves and develops this beat. So yeah. Alright, so it sounds pretty solid in terms of its sound selection, but I'm not really loving the melody that's coming along with this bass line. So I guess to start, I'm just going to essentially replace this bass line and use this loop as a bit of inspiration of a bass line and a bass sound that works really well with the timbre of this first melodic instrument, but I'm just going to tweak it so that it kind of becomes more my own. So yeah, I'm going to do that real quick and get back to you guys. Alright, so basically what I've decided to do here is make a simplified version of this first bass line within this line. Alright, so basically what I've decided to do here is make a simplified version of this bass line that came within this sample pack. I'm not really messing with these gaps. And I also don't think that those melodic runs are necessary, so I basically just formed my own respace within Vital and tried to emulate that sound texture, because the one thing that I really do like about that bass sample is just the nature of that sound selection, exactly that, the quality and that timbre of that bass. So yeah, this is what I got instead. One cool thing about Arcade is that, let's say I was struggling with how to exactly emulate this same bass. I knew that it was some type of sub or respace, but I wasn't really sure exactly what types of effects were being used to create that sound here. I can go into this mixer section and I can see the two different sends as well as the effects on this master here. So if we just listen to this bass, now without any of these effects, it's quite different. So we know that there's some type of lo-fi plugin and also a chorus. In this case, these parameters are not really being moved, but we know that those are potential options that we can apply to this bass to have that same type of vibe. So all I did here was add a EQ that cuts out the very low frequencies and has a very hard pass of the high frequencies as well. A medium curve saturator to really bring some of those frequencies and those harmonics. And also I just decided to add a chorus because I saw that that was at least one of the parameters that was being considered for that bass line. And so yeah, I'm messing with this so far. I'm just going to mute this for now and just work on this loop as it is with this new bass line. So one thing that I'm considering doing here is just to, let's say, duplicate this. I'm just going to name this -12 for -12 semitones, and I'm just going to pitch this down and see how it sounds. Yeah, so I'm messing with that. Let's try and throw in an OTT and I'm just curious. There's this type of shine and like metallic vibe to it. Alright, so let's just keep that on in a very subtle effect for now. Alright, so let's just keep that on as a very subtle effect for now. And yeah. So I think so far, this is a pretty solid, or just a vibey type of intro. I think having some chords played on a choir would really fit it well. So I'm just going to go into this melody, and now that I have this MIDI file for this melody, I can kind of more easily create chords. So let's try to do that here. Yeah, I'm just kind of messing with the sound. I was just messing around with trying to do some things that sound just a little bit off and dissonant. awesome would that be? Yeah, I don't know. I think it sounds cool. So yeah, let's just go with it. And I'm trying to consider, you know, bringing in some elements a little bit more slowly here. So let's just start with I feel like it's either going to be a kick and a snare or just hats. Let's try a kick and a snare first, because we know that there's going to be probably some type of kick because I'm using a respace, so there's no transient, there's no punch to that. So yeah, let's just start with a kick and see how it goes. I'm hearing something with this instrument in particular. Alright, so that's okay for now. I'm trying to really build it up in this section right after here. So I'm thinking like this is the intro, and then this is whatever the first verse or the first section. I don't know if you would call this a hook or if I would arrange this as a hook first. It's kind of feeling like a verse first, but regardless, I'm going to try and build it up a little bit here. Maybe by just adding some layers and octaves. Alright, so this is what I got so far. I just did some simple mixing up of the sounds that and the instruments that we're playing, what is already here. Just play this again. Alright, so this is the track as it is now. So I'm having a couple problems here. I'm having a couple issues. The first one is that from this intro section, I feel like these chords come in too abruptly and too sharply. It's just something about the texture of them. And I think that this problem is exacerbated by the fact that these hats are also quite sharp and just jarring. I'm sorry, these hats. So I want to try to replace this instrument for the beginning and have this instrument come in as a layer in the second half of this verse section. So instead, I've just replaced this first half with this instrument, which I think is just kind of sounds dope. Next, let's try to do something about these hats. Let's halftime this, because why not? I'm gonna cut this in and out. Let's do the same thing here. Just fade it out with a filter. Alright, now I want to add some variety with these two really long verse chorus sections. In this case, it's going to be like treated like a verse, because I think this would be like a storytelling or just like a longer form type of beat for a rapper. But first of all, I want to see if we can do some stuff with the kicks here. And yeah, I know this is so chaotic. The last thing that I'm going to do here to kind of spice it up and add some more variety in this shit show of a beat is I'm going to... Alright, so the last thing that I'm going to do here to add some variety is go back into Arcade and now look for some effects to add to break up the monotony of these really long verse sections. So I'm going to do that by going down to Nightmare, which has just these really solid, really unique effects, and looking for something that fits. Trying to do something with this. Alright, so there's a lot of work to be done on this, but for now I think I'm just gonna leave it here because I think it sounds kind of, I just like it as it is. It's just ugly, it's just kind of dirty, but I'm definitely gonna come back to this and yeah, mess with it a little bit longer. But yeah, I'm just gonna play it for y'all as it is. Alright, so that's about where I'm gonna leave this beat for now. It definitely needs a lot of polishing, but I'm really messing with it. I like the fact that it's ugly and dirty as it is right now. But I'm gonna mix and master it, and when I'm done with that, if you guys want to check out the full completed version of this beat, which I'm sure is gonna sound super dope, you guys can check it out in the end screen of this video. I'll leave it as one of those videos there, so you guys can just click on that, and it'll take you to my Type E channel where you guys can listen to that. And yeah, hopefully like and subscribe. But yeah, I hope that this showed you at least a little bit, a tiny bit of what Arcade by Output is capable of in terms of providing really high quality and unique, dark, creepy, scary, horror, hard type samples for your music. Yeah, and thank you every single one of you. I appreciate every single one of you. Peace.